Hey everyone, and welcome back to What in the Astrology Was That? The weekly series where we break down the astrology for the week in a way that hopefully makes sense. This week is pretty significant one because we're moving out of Gemini season into Cancer season. So happy birthday, Cancer. We also have a first quarter moon in Libra, some relationship focused Venus aspects, and a general shift from gathering information to figuring out what actually matters to us emotionally. So let's get into it. On June 21st, the sun moves into Cancer, marking both Cancer season and the summer solstice. Over the past month, Gemini season has had us collecting information, exploring options, and probably changing our minds a few times. But Cancer season asks us a different question. Now that we've gathered all this information, what feels right? Cancer is concerned with emotional security, home, family, belonging, and the things that make us feel safe. So over the next month, you may find yourself paying more attention to your personal life, your living space, your closest relationships, and the foundations you're building everything else upon. This is less about chasing the next shiny thing and more about asking what actually nourishes me. Also on Sunday, we have a first quarter moon in Libra. First quarter moons are action points. They tend to bring challenges, decisions, and moments where we realize that whatever we started around the new moon now needs effort and adjustment. Since this one is happening in Libra, many of those challenges may show up through relationships, cooperation, boundaries, or finding balance between your own needs and the needs of other people. If you've been avoiding a conversation, trying to keep everyone happy, or sitting on a decision waiting for a sign from the universe, this moon may push you to actually do something about it. And honestly, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes growth looks like realizing something isn't going to magically sort itself out. Mercury is continuing its journey through Cancer, which shifts the way we communicate and process information. Instead of relying purely on logic, many of us are operating from instinct this week. You'll probably notice people speaking from emotion rather than facts. Memories may feel stronger, nostalgia may show up, conversations could become more personal and more vulnerable than usual. The challenge here is making sure you're listening to your intuition and not just your fears. Not every uncomfortable feeling is a warning sign. Sometimes it's just discomfort that comes from growth. Venus is still moving through Leo, and she's having a great time. This placement wants romance, creativity, fun, attention, and self-expression. Whether we're talking about relationships, friendships, content creation, or creative projects, Venus in Leo wants us to stop hiding. This week especially, we're encouraged to put ourselves out there, show off our talents, and take pride in what we're creating. If you've been waiting for a permission to be a little extra, consider this your permission slip. One of the biggest themes this week revolves around relationships, everyone's favorite topic. Early in the week, passions are going to be running high. There's excitement, there's chemistry, creativity, and a genuine desire to connect. Then around Wednesday and Thursday, Venus forms a supportive aspect to Saturn. This is one of my favorite relationship aspects because it asks, okay, but is this sustainable? It's not necessarily the flashiest energy, but it's incredibly grounding. This is the kind of astrology that helps us define commitments, establish boundaries, have mature conversations, and build something that can actually last. Whether that's a relationship, a friendship, a business partnership, or even your relationship with yourself. Toward the end of the week, we also have some Neptune influence in the mix. Neptune can be beautiful for creativity, spirituality, imagination, and inspiration. But it can also make things feel a little foggy. If something seems too good to be true this week, give yourself a little extra time before making a major decision. Not because disaster is coming, just because clarity tends to arrive when we stop forcing it. The emotional weather changes quite a bit this week. So, Sunday through Tuesday, the moon is going to be in Libra. We want to focus on relationships, harmony, beauty, collaboration, and finding balance. Tuesday through Friday, the moon is going to move into Scorpio. This is where things are going to get deeper. Emotions are going to intensify. Hidden feelings may surface. This would be a really great time for shadow work, research, and getting really honest with yourself. And then Friday into the weekend, the moon is going to move into Sagittarius. So after all that emotional depth, Sagittarius is going to bring some much needed perspective. This energy wants freedom, adventure, learning, and it's going to give us a reminder that not every problem needs to be solved immediately. Sometimes you just need to zoom out. If I had to sum up this week in one sentence, it would be this. We're moving from information into emotional truth. Gemini season helped us gather data. Cancer season asks us what we actually want to do with it. So it's not about having all the answers this week. It's about paying attention to what feels meaningful enough to build a life around. But I'd love to know how this energy is showing up for you. Are you feeling the Cancer season shift already? Are relationships taking the center stage? Or are you just trying to survive the emotional whiplash of moving from a Libra moon into a Scorpio moon? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you next week for another episode of What in the Astrology Was That?